Motorcycle Adventure Dirtbike TV is proudly supported by Adventure Spec in England, Rally Raid Products, Giant Loop in the United States and Adventure Moto in Australia.
For the next couple of weeks I'll be testing the 2018 Yamaha WR450 F, Australia's most popular dirt bike. It's popular because it's tough, reliable and reasonably priced with a strong engine and good suspension. In the right hands this bike is a race winner, but I'm no racer, and in fact many people who buy this bike aren't racers. I'll be taking a look at this bike through the eyes of an average trail rider. Our first step is to head to Yamaha HQ to learn about this new model before hitting the trails.
Okay, so what we got here is the latest version of Australia's favourite motorcycle, the WR450 F. Now the first model was launched in 1998, that was the WR400F, based on the YZ400F at the time. It was the first of the new model 4-stroke high performance motorcycles. So since that first model, the WR has followed the YZ development. So everything that's happened in the motocross field, all the developments, the frame developments and engine developments have trickled down through the WRF range. So that first model, that sported a steel frame. It was a 400cc 5-valve engine and it had a 12-litre, big old 12-litre tank. Now since then, it's undergone many changes, once again reflecting the YZ of the time. So it's in about 2007, it got the aluminium, control-filled aluminium frame. It went to a 4-valve reverse-fed cylinder, 2014, and so all those changes have led to this machine you see here. Now we haven't actually released the 2018 yet, so Dave, you're the first one to ride this, first journalist certainly to ride it. We did have it up at Sunny Corner for our customers. It hasn't actually been released yet. There are a few changes I'll go through for 2018. But essentially this motorcycle is based on the YZ, and we also have an FX model for enduro racing. But the key features are we've got a reverse fed cylinder, so the fresh air comes in at the top at the front and exits via the rear. It's kind of a logical thinking for an engine configuration. It allows us to cant the cylinder slightly back in the frame, which aids mass centralisation. In addition to that, it also allows us to lower the fuel cell for even better mass centralisation. So the handling of this machine is second to none due to the engine configuration. Now the engine's wrapped around this the bilateral beam chassis, we call it. It's a control field technique. So we take material and we put it in the places where it's needed, and we put less material where it's not needed. So areas like the swing arm pivot are very strong and they have very strong torsional rigidity, but we allow a little bit of flex in the longitudinal plane. So it's a really nice handling bike, and we've tuned flex into its characteristic. So power-wise, you won't be lacking for anything on a 450. The chassis is a beautiful, nimble handling chassis, but probably the key feature of this motorcycle, certainly for me, is the suspension. The KYB twin chamber speed sensitive units up front, second to none, industry leading suspension, and that's matched by the KYB shock out the back as well. So it's super plush, handles really well, it steers well, and whether you're racing, trail riding, even desert racing, the versatility, I think, of the WR450F is what's made it so popular over the years. So there are very few changes for 2018. The key ones, I suppose, are we've got revised suspension settings to make it even better on the trail for Aussie enduro conditions. We've got new graphics, blue rims, which you'll notice straight away, and we've actually removed the Kickstarter as well to save a little bit of weight, because obviously it's electric start model. So those are the key changes. I should also add that every model comes with an off-road kit, so they come ADR compliant for road registration. But this model here is fitted with the off-road kit, so we've got the lightweight light. New for 2018, we've got these lightweight bike busters up front. We've added a Polysport lightweight headlight. You do get the standard light with the kit as well, so it's your option whether to fit the lightweight Polysport unit, which is here, or the standard headlight. A lot of WR customers have a difficult choice to make, if you like, because the WR250F has had a major revision for 2018, and they're very close to the YZ models, and they're quite close to each other as well. But it depends what kind of riding you do, whether you want to go for a 450 or a 250F. I can't answer that for you. Personally, I do like the 250F because I like to do a lot of single trail and so forth. But it's horses for courses, you know. You will not be disappointed if you buy a WRF. They're super reliable, they're high performance enduro race machine, and have many happy hours on it. All right, now to access the rally computer and all the information on it, you just can wake the beast up by pressing that once, and you get all the information on the computer. You've got a couple of warning lights here, so you've got a fuel warning and an engine warning light. That's new for this model. This is Australian spec only, I should say. So for Australian spec, this is unique to our customers. We fitted these lightweight bike busters. Previously they were wraparound, slightly heavier types, but these are lighter to just to lighten up the cockpit a bit. We spec this Polysport headlight. Once again, this is for Australia, New Zealand customers only. This is an additional option. You get the standard headlight, but if you want, you can fit this lighter unit that also sits closer to the rider. And that's part of the off-road kit that's available free with every WR250F and 450F. Yeah, so one of the changes for the 2018 models, both the 250F and the 450F, is we've removed the Kickstarter just to save a little bit of weight. The Kickstarter is actually an option should you wish to add one, but we don't feel it's necessary because they start very easily on the button right here. Yeah, and as part of the ADR kit, we've got this lightweight rear tail light as well, and hanger for your registration plate. Obviously the ADR kit's slightly more substantial than that. And we fitted a brake snake here as well, just for Australian conditions. So that's all part of the off-road kit. Okay, so for those of you not familiar with the Yamaha, the fuel sits under this little piece here. And of course that's very smooth transition, so you can get your weight right forward over the motorcycle. And you just pop this piece up here that's attached with two cables, and you can access the fuel right there. Because the fuel cell sits centrally located here for weight distribution. And then very simply, you undo these three Zeus fasteners, and you can access the air filter really easily and really simply. And it's positioned high up, so away from all the dust and debris, and it delivers a very clean, fresh air to the engine. The standard tyres are Metzeler 6-Day Extremes, front and rear. For the customer ride day, we actually fitted a Dunlop rear to all our bikes just because they tend to last a little bit longer. But the front is a very good, very grippy Metzeler 6-Day. Now the one thing with these machines, they are known for their reliability, but you do have to keep on top of maintenance. Being a performance, high performance enduro racer, you would look at changing oil maybe every 500 kilometers. So keep on top of that. Regular fresh oil changes and filter changes are where it's at. Always, of course, check your air filter before riding as well, because that is one of the key features of this bike. It is up away from the dirt, but please check it every time you go riding anyway. Make sure it's spotless. Just going to Tomo's yard to ask him about tuning. So Tomo's developed a map for these bikes. There's a plug and play tuner called the Power Tuner, and you can just change everything at the press of a button. Tomo's basically developed this map. They call it the Hollis map, because Chris Hollis had a hand in developing it, and it's a very rider-friendly map. It got a lot of traction off the bottom end, and it makes the bike very easy to ride. So we just have a little word with him. We just wanted to ask about mapping for the WR450F. Now this is running probably a standard map, is that right?
It's running the Hollis map.
It is running the Hollis map.
Hollis smooth map, yes.
Do you want to talk to Dave about the map and how it was developed and stuff?
Okay, so basically Chris Hollis thought that the original map was a little too aggressive, and Chris is a very well experienced enduro rider, racer. Raced for Australia and whatnot. Always likes a nice, smooth, quiet bike, and he just come over to me and said, "Do you think we can make a map to suit this engine?" And I said, "Well, yeah, let's do it." And Chris gives good feedback and has some good input, so we just developed a map and called it the Hollis Smooth Map.
And I think it's fair to say from then we fitted to a lot of journalists' bikes on press launches and so forth.
At that launch, that particular launch, yes. And everybody loved it. I would say about 95% of the riders, there was 19 bikes at that launch, all ended up riding with the Hollis smooth map, especially out in the woods.
And what are the main characteristics of that map?
Okay, it's just nice, smooth, but still very strong torque of the engine, and then up top it still lets it rev. So he doesn't like snappy power, just likes to gear taller, be able to roll it on it, just pull away. And that's what that map does.
Because you can fit a very aggressive map onto a WR450F. It makes it very snatchy and difficult to ride in certain single track scenarios.
Yeah, we did make another map, which is more Josh Green style map, which was a very aggressive map, but it allowed you to ride the bike a gear taller everywhere. So
Yeah.
if you were smart, you could ride it a gear taller and just make it pull and torque and not rev and reef out of your hands. So two different styles of riding there, but most people like the Hollis map.
So when you say smart, you mean fast. You mean aggressive, and you mean
no,
I'm going to win a race.
No, smart that you slow the race down in your head. Like a lot of riders will, in a race, they'll just race in their head and they're banging gears and they're over revving and they're on a rev limiter. Whereas if you ride it smart, when it's got a lot of power, you'll short shift, you'll use the torque of the engine and you'll make it smooth out that way.
Yeah, I know that Josh likes to ride a gear higher than a normal rider would, and
Yep.
he finds that gives it extra traction where he needs it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you've got a Josh Green style, which makes the bike aggressive, but he rides it according to how much power he has. Whereas Chris is still a smart rider, but he just rides smooth the whole time and wants the bike smooth. And basically, talking to Chris, it doesn't wear him out that much. You know, he can ride all day at the same pace, basically.
Yeah. Good stuff. Interesting. Power maps. Versatility. I mean, it shows the versatility of that bike. You can just press a couple of buttons and change it from mild to wild. So however you're feeling on the days, however you take the bike.
Okay, this is our GYTR power tuner. It's once you've loaded your maps into the power tuner, it only takes a few seconds to upload a map. We have some different maps for different model bikes here, but say if I want to put the Hollis Smooth in, I've got it labelled as map number 5. Simply just plug it in. It turns itself on as soon as you plug it in. You need to activate the ignition on the bike. Let's go to setting, send, because we want to send a map. We want to send map number 5. Ask you to send the map. Okay. Send completed. Okay. We're done. We now have the Hollis Smooth map, and it's as simple as doing that to go back to the standard or to the Josh Green full power map.
And you're basically right there changing the ignition settings, the fuel mixture adjustments,
Yeah.
and the ignition timing settings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you come to the shop and you pick up your WR, make sure that you talk to the workshop manager, discuss some mapping. If you don't have one of these devices, they are available for about $300, but they can put a map in there for you. So we've got maps on our website, we've got the Josh Green map, we've got the Hollis map, and it is a good idea to put a map in that suits your style of riding.